let's look at CBS this morning. So this is CBS hard news, not the opinion shows, and they're going to tell us what this means for Me Too. Let's see.
She is live in Toronto. Stacey, thank you for taking the time. What's your reaction to the verdict?
I'm actually really shocked. So unlike your previous guest, I'm not a legal expert. And so I was looking at it from kind of a layman's perspective, and based on all of the evidence that Amber Heard brought forward in terms of text messages, she had witnesses, she had all of this documentation, she had photos. And to me, and my understanding of libel, because she had the truth on her side, or she had all of this evidence, and so I thought she had the truth on her side, I did not think that Johnny Depp was going to win. So that was my first reaction. And my second reaction, honestly, is disappointment, because I do think it's basically guaranteed that this is going to have a chilling effect on other victims of abuse.
But now, you see, this is another one of those takes where all the CBS has. So let's just get. Oh my God! All right. So this woman says all of the evidence was on one side, right? All of it. She's got all of it. It should have been an easy win for Amber. Easy win. And she's shocked. You guys, now if I told you you were saying these things, you wouldn't believe me. You were like, nah, Nate, nobody's saying that. Stop playing. Stop joking, man. Nobody's saying this. You are hearing it for yourself. Listen to what you're hearing. Listen to what she's saying. She's saying, I watched everything. All the evidence was on Amber Heard's side. This is who CBS wants to put in front to let you know, believe all. Not going to say it.
Any gender who were thinking about speaking honestly about their experiences and now have a major barrier in their way.
And, we're looking at fans outside. We've been seeing.
But you see how they're trying to coach this, right? They're trying to say the major barrier is that if you have all this evidence, Amber Heard style evidence, you have all the evidence Amber Heard came and come forward, you're not going to be believed. That's not accurate at all. If you lie, like Amber Heard did, we know she lied. We see the lies. And it's like this woman didn't watch any of Johnny Depp's. She didn't watch it get cross-examined. She didn't listen to any of the lies. The other one, remember, they were even trying to make excuses for the lies. This woman is saying, I watched the whole trial and Amber should have won. All the evidence was on her side. And this woman's on CBS.
Fans outside trying to get into that courtroom, the social media conversation. I mean, what kind of influence do you think all of that could have had?
That is a major question for me. So my understanding, and I could totally be wrong, but my understanding is that the jury was sequestered. And so I would hope that social media did not have an impact on their.
So now we see. This woman doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She absolutely didn't watch the trial because the jury was not sequestered. Like, she's like, oh, from my understanding, the jury was sequestered. So no. So now we know she didn't watch the trial. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She absolutely doesn't know what she's talking about. So she's making this statement, just cherry picking. So she might have got that email or those talking points, and now it's starting. Now it's come out. You didn't watch it, right? Because they weren't sequestered. We all know that. Trying to get us try to sneak in a talking point.
Deliberations, but even as your previous guest was saying, Johnny Depp's star power seemed overpowering of facts, right? And this conversation did not just happen over the past 6 weeks.
Johnny Depp's star power overcame facts. Do you guys agree with that? Johnny Depp's star power overcame the facts. Wow. Crazy, right? Johnny Depp's celebrity. And people, I hate continually to say this. Johnny Depp's star power didn't save him. He was canceled off the planet. She came out and said, he beat me. And what happened to Johnny Depp? Canceled. Pirates, everything, right? He was canceled off the planet, right? And matter of fact, it even got to the point where even though he was canceled, people were still like, he was canceled off the planet. Then lost another trial and was canceled even worse. She's obviously a victim, right? We all believe she was a victim. She lost the court case. His celebrity didn't help him in all of that for 6 years until 7 weeks ago, where he went with his attorneys to a courtroom and said, we're going to put all the evidence in front of the world and let you, the jury, and the jury's not some judge, the jury was you in the public, you sitting there behind this screen watching me scream into this microphone. I'm going to give it to you. And you know what Amber did? Amber came back and said, I'm going to give all my evidence to you, the public, right? And let's see who wins. And the jury, the judge, the court of public opinion, everybody who watched the case came to the same conclusion. She's a liar. And she defamed him. And the stuff that she said was happening didn't happen. We're watching, as Eric said, we're one screen, but we're watching two different movies. But the problem is that we in the public have all watching the same movie. It's the mainstream media who's telling us there was a different film. That's the difference here.
Weeks. There has been a really long history, unfortunately, of social media users turning this conflict into memes and jokes and content. It's just really ramped up in the past 6 weeks. And so my hope is that it didn't impact it. But I think that is a really important question that legal experts need to be looking at, and then thinking about how you can protect the right to a fair trial, and if that's what's happening, right?
And so, just scrolling on
Fair
TikTok
trial.
and Twitter, it seemed most people were on Johnny Depp's side while dismissing Heard. Some people have said that this backlash is, a microcosm of a larger one against the Me Too movement. What do you think?
Yeah. So I think it clearly some of that is going on. I think for me, the bigger question is we should be looking at the limits of Me Too. So Me Too was a campaign, a sort of social media campaign. It was a conversation, it was a discourse, but it did not actually have policy change attached to that. And so for a long time, I've been wondering what has Me Too actually been able to accomplish on that case? Because as much as we've all been talking about abuse more since 2017, and for a while there, it seemed like there was a bit of a turning point where people who had historically had a lot of power to suppress conversations like this were maybe losing some of that power. It's clear that there's not that hasn't been a lasting change in terms of our conversation. And if there wasn't, and there hasn't been kind of accompanying it, policy changes and changes in leadership and changes in kind of institutions, then it can't actually go very far.
Why do you think that is, if that in fact is what's happening?
I think this is the challenge of any kind of activism that is kind of taking place on social media, is that it's really easy to have conversations. And I will be the first person to tell you that it's important to talk about the things that we are seeing. But the people who are in charge of our institutions, whether that's police departments, whether that is, the people who are in charge of crafting legal policy, that has not seen a demographic change over the past 5 years.
So I wanted to play all that out so you guys can see, I think, where they want to go with this. So last thing we heard was demographic change, right? So they're saying there are essentially, you got to kind of read between the code a little bit. There are too many white men in power, and we have to have that demographics change, right? There are too many men in power, so we have to have those demographics change. And the reason why we need those demographics to change is so things that happen like this trial, won't happen again. Now, one thing I also appreciate is that I think she's right in a couple of things that she's saying, right? I think Me Too was reaction, but I think the pendulum swung too far in one direction. Whenever we start treating allegations as convictions and having that have real world consequences in people's lives, then I think that's when it went too far, right? When you say, hold on, this, what Aziz Ansari, for instance, when he said, when Aziz Ansari said, who was it? When he went on that date and a woman said, oh, it was a bad date. and she should be canceled for that. And everybody came out and said, no, that's not how this goes, right? Or even when people have found to be making stories up. The issue here is that Me Too essentially removed due process, right? And due process meant that if somebody alleges you did something, you had the right to defend yourself. Now, even if you were guilty or not, right? That's the core principle before there were any type of negative consequences to your character, right? They had to prove these accusations. And Me Too was saying, well, we shouldn't have to prove them. It's enough that they were said. And that's what happened with Johnny Depp, and that's what happened with a lot of these people, where it's enough that it was said. But that's essentially where we were going with the Me Too movement. People just allege anything. And then men were losing millions of dollars, right? People were losing their jobs. So, so it was always a problem with this Me Too issue. But now coming back to it, they want to make it seem like there was never a problem. And they're trying to massage it in a way that I think is just not relevant to the facts. And as you can see from all the stories that we've been covering, that we saw, all the videos that we saw, they are essentially outright lying for Amber Heard. Why? I don't know. I don't know why maybe the mainstream media thinks it's so big, it's too big to fail in terms of, we could just lie to you, and what else are you going to do? Who else are you going to watch, right? Who else are you going to watch? You can only get the news from us. So I think they're at that point now where they're saying, so what? We can literally feed you whatever lie we want to tell you, and if we're wrong, who cares? If we misrepresent it, who cares? But we're going to continue to do it. The only way you can vote with this is you got to vote with your dollars. You got to stop watching them. Because if you continue to watch them, they're going to continue to do it because they're going to think you have no choice. That's what it comes down to. Do you have a choice?